additives can have a big role in improving the profitability or sustainability of the farms for farmers.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Wisenetix Podcast episode. I'm glad to have here with me today Philippe Tacon. Philippe is a product manager for microbiomes at dsm-firmenich, and he's been working with us. He's been a partner with Wisenetix for a while now. So I'm really happy to have you here with us today, Philippe. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Ricardo. How are you?
All good, all good. One curiosity, it's a good morning for Philip as he is right now in Japan. Good night for me, so you'll see the difference in lighting here. But yeah, Philip, we traditionally like to start our episodes here understanding a little bit better our guests, their background. So if you could share a little bit of your story with us.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I'm originally from France, from Brittany, actually, west part of France. I had a PhD in fish biology that I've made at the University of Rennes, working on tilapia at that time, sharing my part during this study between France and the Ivory Coast. So it was a very interesting study to do. Then I moved. Most of my career was done in Asia, in the aquaculture business, in different countries, in different roles. Mostly involved in tilapia and shrimp at that time. I've worked quite a lot in the feed additive world with this role in aquaculture, but also working with French companies evolving in feed additive business as well, working in aquaculture, and also moving after a while to more livestock industry, especially swine in Asia as well. And then finally, I joined dsm-firmenich last year when they acquired a company, Additives, that I was working with as a business manager, trying to develop this animal nutrition business.
So that's great. You and I, we had the opportunity to meet a few times in person, talk, and you have this extensive experience traveling the world, especially in Asia, as you mentioned. Could you share throughout your journey, not only professionally but also personally, what would you highlight as your top three experiences in life until today, and what did you learn from them?
Well, of course, my experience in life were linked to my professional world and also the countries I've worked in during this time. So I would say, first, very an amazing but very surprising experience was moving to do my postdoc research in Taiwan at the Ocean University. When I arrived there, I had to discover a complete new world, new culture, new language. I had to learn Chinese to survive there. So it was very, eye-opening experience. That time, my girlfriend, French girlfriend, came. We married there, so it was a starting of a journey for us. So it was, and I still keep very good contacts with people in Taiwan. Very sorry to hear about the earthquake, by the way, yesterday. I hope everybody I know is safe. But, that should be second. Is also after some time we moved to Thailand because my wife got posted there, and in between I stopped working for the aquaculture industry because when I went back to France after Taiwan, we didn't find a job in this industry. But going back to Thailand was. I could rejoin the aquaculture industry, and I set up a research facility there to do trials on feed additives. So it was also again discovering a new culture, new language. So and trying to achieve something very meaningful at the time for the aquaculture industry, because I think we were one of the first place to do trials for feed additive companies, and was very proud to have set this up. Recently, I I, s- I was very also happy to start over again the work with Adair Bio. It's not linked to any countries, or actually it was one of the first time I worked with a very French setting. But I was very happy to be part of this journey because we could start something from scratch, and I really liked it. Start a new activity, try to build a network of distributors all over the world. So it was very also very meaningful for me. And all of these journeys are over the world with different countries in Asia were very strong build for our family because with my children grew up there. They're really linked to Asia as well. So it's yeah, very nice journey that we had so far.
Awesome. Yeah, the traveling always enriches a lot. I love it. I used to travel more. Right now, I still travel a little bit, but almost every time to the US. So
I think it's different than what I experienced in traveling in different countries, but also live there and work there. You get a very different feeling about the country or the culture,
it's totally different. Yeah.
and it's very it's very enriching.
It's an immersion, right? It's different when you're like touristing around, just seeing like what tourists see basically, than really living the reality of that country. So awesome. And so you have this great experience all over the world and with a lot of relation with science and studying animals, their what happens with them when they consume these or that ingredient, those feed additives. Now, how would your parents describe what you do today, Philip? Can they do this or
No, I don't think they can. I think they saw me first as the fish guy in the family. So it was very funny because when I grew up, we had somebody in our neighborhood moved to Tahiti, and he was part of the French team who set up all these shrimp domestication programs with French researchers there. So he was kind of seen as a very special person in the neighborhood because he moved to Tahiti to do that. So wow. So I kind of followed these steps. was the French, the one in the family working in fish. This is how people describe me with my siblings and parents.
almost like a fisherman, but
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, a fish doctor or something. Yeah, so, yeah.
awesome. And that's just a funny question that we like to ask to start, to the transition on our conversation when we start talking about
Yeah.
business, about the industry, and how everything happens in this amazing industry that is the ag. So, can you tell us a little bit more about your journey now in livestock industry? But how did your experience in aquaculture started, and how it drove you to where you are right now within dsm-firmenich?
Yeah. As I said, I did my PhD in France, then moved to a postdoc role in Taiwan. Then I really was exposed at that time was the late 90s and there was after the big crisis in shrimp business in Taiwan. They completely, I mean, Taiwan is actually set up most of the way of doing shrimp farming, and then the industry completely collapsed in Taiwan because of West spot disease. So I was really firstly experienced in that regard. And then when I moved to Thailand afterwards, the Thai industry was actually one of the largest and most advanced in the world. And there was a lot of research at that time done in feed additives. A lot of companies were investing in feed additives in Thailand at the time. And then again, the industry completely crashed with the EMS, and it didn't really recover afterwards. So we are must bring me to the to think that this industry, especially shrimp industry, is actually very fragile. And now we see the emergence of a new disease. It's coming from China and now in Southeast Asia, TPD. So So yeah, so and then I moved to different roles, working on feed additives in the region in shrimp farming. Again, seeing all this new disease coming and how we feed additives company could help in solving these issues. Um, and then after a while, after in the aquaculture industry, I wanted to see other horizons, see kind of broaden my perspective in the animal nutrition business. And then because originally actually I did a master degree in animal production, but just all kind of animals, and came in the aquaculture business a bit by accident. Um, then I came back to a role within the South as a Southeast Asian manager, and here mostly working with swines because it was a large part of our business. And then when I started working in swine in Southeast Asia, they got all these prices issue and the ASF coming. So again, so I experienced firsthand that we diseases is really a big issue in animal production, and we really have to see how we can mitigate these issues. And I really liked it working in the livestock industry because I mean I love the aquaculture industry, but I thought it was easier to work in the livestock industry because it's much more organized way of farming. There's very few species that are concerned, as opposed in aquaculture, where there's a lot of different species in fish and shrimp, even and very different ways of farming. And here is much more structured, so it was easier to do trials. It was easier to explain trials done in different parts of the world to nutritionists or veterinarians. And and I thought they were also the people in the livestock industry a bit more open to discussion than in the aquaculture industry. Whereas there's always some part of secret. Everybody thinks they have the best formula. They don't want to really discuss what they're doing, and how. And farmers always think they have also a way to have their own recipe to grow shrimp. It's mostly in the shrimp industry. I think the fish industry is a bit less secretive, especially in salmon industry, where salmon industry is really a bit like livestock. It's really well organized. So I really enjoyed also this role and working with different species. Now, and the role I have now is really completely across different species. So I'm doing fish, but also ruminants and swine. So I'm coming to have another quite good overview of what is the animal feed additive market nowadays.
First observation: uh, you've experienced a lot of challenges with the diseases across different places and species and everything, and that's something I want to dive a little bit deeper in. So, how do you see the importance today of feed additives, especially let's focus more on feed additives, as that's your area of expertise. So how do you see the importance of feed additives in animal health? Because this feed additives, sometimes they can be used, I don't know, for gain weight and other things, like targeting more production, not necessarily only health. How do you see their importance, and especially when it comes to a subject that is uh, you know people are talking a lot about now, which is the decrease of usage of antibiotics? How do you see the relation, and how feed additives play an important role here?
Well, they do actually, and they're very important in. I mean, as you said, there's different feed additives that could help animal nutritional health. You have enzymes that could be working in cost reductions or working in performance improvement. You have all these immune boosters. You have probiotics, prebiotics, postbiotics that also can help gut health. You have also sometimes vitamins and amino acids are considered additives, more essential additives as opposed as performance solutions additives. So now we have a large variety of additives on the market. Sometimes they're overlapping each other. And we really have to be, the people, nutritionists or veterinarians using additives, I really have to find the additive correspondent to their needs and what is important for them to improve. In relation with antibiotics, we see in Europe, which is a very good market to evaluate that, where antibiotics and zinc-oxide are banned now. So, of course, Europe is a very important market for the feed additive, and has been proven that using additives either on the feed and in farm has been a way to replace for these antimicrobials. And interestingly, in Europe, is very regulated, so you cannot have additives that have not been proven to work or to have an efficacy. So it's so there's fewer additives that are in place in Europe compared to other places in the world. And in other markets where you still have antibiotics usage is a less it's more complicated market to sell, and usually price is an issue because people are using antibiotics already, and if they want to replace antibiotics, which are quite expensive to be honest, they really want to have a product that is working extremely well, or actually costing not very much. So if they're using it, it doesn't really work. They don't really have a cost issue. So it's really a lot of different, very large variety of markets. But now the trend is going to have antibiotics down because even in countries like in the US, in Asia, the trend is coming, and that will continue. And we will see less and less antibiotics on the market. Which is good because antibiotic resistance is still growing. And then we have and the role of feed additives will increase. That's a certainty. Yes.
So we can expect a growth in the market probably, right?
Yeah, the whole market will grow. The market is becoming also very concentrated now because more and more companies are buying other companies. We see that even in our own company. And the portfolio of each feed additive supplier is growing, and sometimes we see overlapping in the portfolio of these companies. So we really have to work with the customers to define which is the additive they really need, and not sometimes not the one they want, but the one they need.
The one they need.
And really, it's as I mentioned before, this is still a very strong pressure in animal production. So we really have to come with programs to the customers and using different additives simultaneously or successively to see how we can mitigate this disease issue.
Awesome. And animal health is an important aspect of the usage of feed additives, but also sustainability, right? What is the role of feed additives when it comes to sustainability? And are we talking about environmental sustainability or production sustainability because of, I don't know, costs, reduction of costs, other things? Can you explain a little bit better for us?
Yeah, of course. Both are important for farmers. There's a pressure on sustainability, environmental sustainability nowadays from the customers, but also from the regulators, because, for example, we have to decrease emissions from farms and pollutants from farms. So if there's any, like zinc oxide, for example, was banned for that reason. And so this is first an important part, and this is important for the farmers, but also for big companies as a way also to communicate that they have sustainability programs in place to their own customers. So it's mostly agri-food companies, and actually we're working with this type of companies with a program called Sustels in dsm-firmenich. So it's So not only feed additives, but also accompanying these companies also to improve their sustainability grade, for example. But at the moment, the sustainability of the farm is actually a strong issue. We see that in France, for example, where there's a lot of strikes from farmers because they want to improve their profit and their wages, which is normal, of course. And in that reason, feed additives can play a big role. As I mentioned, enzymes could be also a way to save cost in feeds and raw materials for feed companies, so maintaining a price of feed which is actually acceptable by farmers, but also increase performance. So we get more profit. It could be milk production. It could be also improving mortality, survival, for example. So the farmers getting a better profit in the end, and also reducing their cost in terms of medicine. So in that sense, additives can have a big role in improving the profitability or sustainability of the farms for farmers. Yes, they do that. Yeah.
As you explained, and as we can see, feed additives can help producers in many ways, right?
Yes.
Even when it comes to profitability. But at the same time, we see in a few markets, like in the Chinese market, they starting to cut a few investments when it comes to, I don't know, essential feed additives as
Yes.
vitamins, right? Can you explain the reasons for that and how that can impact the industry?
Yeah, Chinese market is actually not very good at the moment, mostly because of the prices of its pork. It's decreasing a lot. So farmers not making profit, feed companies or even integrators not making profit. They're losing money each time they produce pigs. So they're cutting on everything. They cut feed additives first. Now they trying to started to cut vitamins, which is of course some like very short-term thinking in my sense, because they doing that they will decrease the performance of the animal, so they will also keep losing money instead of keeping a few of these additives and in trying to improve the formula, because actually some of the additives can also help to change the formula and maybe using a cheaper raw material, but it's something that is actually hard to explain to these customers, and we're struggling to pass this kind of information or program to the companies. But the Chinese market is really going down at the moment. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to understand. And coming back a little bit to the beginning of our conversation when we are bringing more of your experience in the aquaculture. You mentioned it's a little bit harder to work there, especially when it comes
Mm.
to shrimp, because people are a little bit more closed. They don't want to share the information. Um, how do you see the differences, the main differences between the livestock industry and aquaculture, especially because as I see, if you think about aquaculture, another thing you mentioned, there's so many species, right? So many
Mm.
different cultures for you to explore. Maybe you'll have salmon in the north of Europe or Chile or other countries. In Brazil, you have tilapia. In Ecuador, you have shrimp. Also in Asia, so it's much more fragmented, right? And how do you see these differences when you compare to livestock, especially well in production in general, but also in communication? How do you communicate in such a market where it's more closed, and also you have different you know different things happening in each country, different standards? Because although countries are different, if I think about the poultry industry, the swine industry, a lot of what you learn in, I don't know, in the North American industry can be probably applied to in Europe or in Brazil or other
Yeah.
places. Not exactly the same thing, but you can take
No.
some lost lessons. When I think about, and that my guess, my perception, uh, when I think about the aquaculture, that seems to be a little bit of a bigger challenge. I don't know if that's right or not.
Yeah, no, it's right. Yeah, I mean, poultry, you have two breeds, huh? Ross and Cobb, and even in Ross and Cobb, you have only one or two only you use. Um, all over the world, and it's mostly 35, 42 days growth, so it's very standardized, very easy to try to, as you said, very easy to you do a trial in the US. The feed will be different, so sometimes the nutritionists, they say no, can't use actually, but it's really easy to do trials all over the world in poultry and then to transfer this information to other markets. And swine is getting to that direction. Salmon is the same. I mean, to be fair, the salmon industry is very advanced. They also have one breed, Atlantic salmon. Or I mean, in Chile, Scotland, British Isles and Norway. And so trials they have different challenges in this plant, but it's really a way of farming that is much more standardized compared to, as you mentioned, tilapia or shrimp. Tilapia, you have a lot of different breeds. You have hybrids, and they culture very differently in China compared to Brazil. And the size is a bit different also, market size. Shrimp, you have a lot. You have a lot of different way of culturing shrimp. It's very different what you do in Ecuador than what you do in Vietnam. Although that now the tendencies are getting less intensive in Vietnam, is a bit more intensive in Ecuador. If they do that, they will face challenges, of course. In China, for example, when I was working there, they had 130 different species in aquaculture. So
Wow.
they were culturing from turtle to salmon, So the industry is very fragmented. So and they have different needs in different countries. They have different way of culturing the animals, and it's not easy to transfer technologies from one to the other, as you said. As a whole, the aquaculture industry, except salmon industry, doesn't communicate very well. They're often seen as using a lot of antibiotics, a lot of pesticides, and which is sometimes true, but most of the time not true. I mean, especially when they export, they have to follow the rules of the market they're exporting into. So they sometimes have a different image, not a very good image, and they're not very good at communicating on that as a whole industry. And for us, when we communicate globally, we do campaigns, of course, but it's the way to get our products in, not only for us, but for the same of the company, is really going very into very high conversation directly with the customers. Meeting them. The good thing with the aquaculture industry, it's a small industry, so you meet you quite meet often your counterparts or stakeholders within the industry in different conferences or different trade shows. So you can have a continuous dialogue with these people, and they tend to help each other. You see, because it's a small industry as compared to the livestock industry. So it's very, although it's close, it's a very tight industry. So, and it's really, really nice to work into. But it's complicated to prove products that are working for that, because trials in farms are very difficult to monitor. And sometimes doing trials in farm, and then the manager of the farm came and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, the birds ate all the fish." And it's not easy to see effect of product as strongly as you can see in poultry, for example, where it's so standardized that there's a very small percentage, 2% of improvement in any parameters is actually very, very good results. Whereas viability in terms of farming, but also in terms of individual in aquaculture species, is very high. you difficult to compare one pond to each other because they have different dynamics. So it's bringing another level of difficulty when you do trials.
Now think about feed additives in general, not only aquaculture, but also livestock. What do you see as innovations to come and trends in the near future? What do you think is going to happen in the feed additive industry in the next few years?
Now, more and more research are been done in not only in proving how the feed additives work, but also to develop new feed additives. So the trend, I think, is getting to get more precise additives with a very specific functions. We see that in enzyme, for example, but we see that also in products where much more purified. In phytogenics, for example, we're getting acids. We're getting also products that are really specific on their mode of actions. And in the future, we will get more. It's my view. Maybe
Yeah.
people don't share it. So we're getting more additives with a specific roles and to be applied at specific times. In the past, we had additives that we are putting a bit all of the time and have more generic action, like immune stimulation. But now we will have ways to pinpoint directly into either stimulating some specific activity in the gut, or having a different direct action on pathogens. So, and we'll probably come up with programs with different additives working together or simultaneously or in succession. And I see that thing. And also, what I see coming is services also which will be associated with these additives first to see when we have to apply these additives, trying to be proactive and monitor the status of farms and see, oh, you have to put this and that, and also monitor the efficacy of these additives, because this is what actually more and more, from what I see, is integrators, so mostly integrators, they want to use additives, also they want to know how they work and how we can also monitor their efficacy, not only by monitoring the performance of the animal. It's a bit of a challenge, but I think the industry will move into that direction with a more precision. Precision feeding is already there, but now we will also have precision additives that will have can combine with this precision nutrition.
Interesting. Good insights. I'm not technical, but it's always good to learn a little bit more and understand what is the direction that the industry is taking. So that's very cool. And Philip, we're getting to the end of our conversation here. So I would like to wrap up with a few questions. The first one is thinking about people that are getting, are entering the industry. What is one piece of advice you'd give to someone starting their career in the industry? Animal nutrition, livestock, aquaculture, uh, the ag in general. What's one important thing that they must think about?
I think what I found very important is going on the field, talk to people, talk to your customers, ask questions. They're usually open when you ask questions. There's no shame on that. And this is where you learn things. It's not You will not learn your trade and work by just sitting in a room and listening to PowerPoint presentations. So it's very important that you go on the field and learn from your customers. This is the most important piece of advice I would have. Second is be open and not afraid to go out of your comfort zone. It's very important, and that's what I've done in my past. And I'm very grateful for that. So because I've learned so much. So yeah, I would that would be my first advice to these newcomers in the industry. By the way, always welcome newcomers. Please join us.
Industry needs.
Yeah. It's a very nice place to be.
Do you have any recommendations of books, movies, podcasts, documentaries, anything that you think are relevant resources for people in the audience?
Yeah, not much time to read, and and at the moment, one related to our industry, there's a movie I like very much is the Informer from Steven Soderbergh. It's about the price fixing and in the amino acid industry. It's a very
Right.
funny movie because there's a big piece in the middle, so it's a really funny movie. I really like it.
The,
So
what's the name again?
the Informer.
The Informer.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
funny thing. But no, in general, I don't watch too much at the moment. I don't have time to read too much. Also, unfortunately.
Too much work.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's part of the game. Awesome. And my last question is, where can our listeners find you online?
I'm on LinkedIn, so I'm easy to find. I'm always welcoming to have new contacts on LinkedIn. So it's a very interesting place to be. Also. Mm.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna be sharing this episode on our LinkedIn, and we're gonna tag you there. So anyone that listens to us, it's not gonna be very hard to find Philip. Philip, I really appreciate you taking the time, although it's like early in the morning for you. So I
No
really
problem.
appreciated that. It was a great conversation and great for me to learn more about this industry.
Thank you, Ricardo. Yeah, you have a good evening.
Yeah, and you have a great day. And for you that was in the were in the audience listening to us, I hope I hope you liked the episode. I hope you learned a few new things, and we hope to see you in our next episodes. Okay, folks. Thanks everyone, and see you